Amazing twist, poor girl discovers millionaire in a trunk. His hidden reaction changes everything. Sarah wiped her brow, glancing nervously at the diner's clock, the rhythmic ticking echoing the gnawing uncertainty inside her. Each passing second held a promise of hope and despair, but tonight felt different. Willow Creek was a town where whispers traveled faster than light. She could feel the prying eyes of friends and neighbors hovering, judging her choices from the safety of their booths. She yearned for more than the grease-slicked floors and endless coffee refills. As she deftly navigated around the tables, memories of late-night study sessions and dreams of scientific pursuits loomed large, yet felt increasingly distant. Did she even have a choice anymore? After another long delivery route that evening, burdened with fatigue and the weight of her responsibilities, Sarah's curiosity began to get the best of her. She stumbled upon an old trunk tucked away behind the diner, its surface covered in years of dust and neglect. With her heart racing between excitement and apprehension, she pried it open, revealing unexpected treasures within a hidden world. To her utter shock, a pair of piercing blue eyes stared back at her. Jack, a disheveled yet striking young man, emerged, his presence startling her to the core. His vulnerability captivated her, igniting an inexplicable connection amidst their contrasting lives. "Why are you in there?" she blurted out, half amused and half intrigued. He chuckled, hiding from expectations. "You don't know what it's like." Sarah wasn't prepared for the night of honest conversations that followed, discussions about societal pressures, familial obligations, and dreams shelved for practicality. She hung on to his words, finding solace in the shared struggles of aspiration. With every moment together, the weight on her chest eased, giving way to a warmth that felt undeserved and exhilarating. But uncertainty loomed, intensifying into discomfort. Could someone like him really understand the sacrifices she made? Jack's charm was intoxicating, but her heart raced with inner turmoil. The weight of her grandmother's illness still felt insurmountable, a reminder that her ambitions had a heavy price. Was she destined to remain a waitress while someone like Jack danced within circles of privilege? Each conversation pulled them closer, yet a chasm of economic divide gaped wide. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. The night drew on, and Jack dared to float the idea of helping her enroll in university, igniting a storm of doubt within her. The shadow of her grandmother's disapproval was a bitter reminder of her precarious reality. Dreams fought like wildfire against the smothering restrictions of her modest life. Jack, a picture of boldness, held out possibilities, yet her stomach churned with fear of uprooting her world. As whispers circulated in Willow Creek about her newfound friendship, the judgments rushed in like a tidal wave, relentless and suffocating. Sarah's heart and mind battled furiously, torn between the familiarity of her life and the lure of a future she barely believed she deserved. Questions of loyalty to family and herself ricocheted off one another. Was she prepared to risk everything for something that might break her heart? Staring into Jack's hopeful eyes, the reality of their differences screamed louder than the night air filled with her unspoken hesitations. "Do you think we're worth the risk?" she finally asked, her voice barely above a whisper, knowing deep down that their answer could change everything. The crisp morning sun filtered through the diner windows, casting patterns on the floor as Sarah stood behind the counter, lost in thought. With each passing customer, the conversations buzzed around her, but she was no longer fully present. Instead, her mind danced between the possibility of a fresh start and the weight of familial obligations. Jack's words echoed like a mantra, urging her toward a future she had long deemed unattainable. As the clock inched toward noon, she absent-mindedly refilled coffee cups, watching the steam escape and curl into the air like her ambitions. The swirl of emotions within her felt chaotic excitement tempered by fear as she considered the path Jack had laid out for her. University. Education. A life beyond the confines of the diner. Could she truly embrace it? The mere thought sent a thrill through her, yet the grounded reality of her grandmother's illness tightened like a vice around her heart. At her break, Sarah stepped out for some fresh air. The noise of the diner faded as she leaned against the cool metal railing outside. She pulled out her phone, staring at the screen, assessing her options. Enroll in school. A distant, whispered dream clawing back to the forefront of her mind. A budding spark of determination ignited within her, but it quickly met with the harsh reminder of her current responsibilities. As she wrestled with these thoughts, she caught a glimpse of Jack approaching from across the street. He wore a simple white shirt that contrasted sharply with his tousled hair. There was an eager energy in his stride that made Sarah's defenses flinch. She hadn't seen him since their last encounter, and the thought of facing him sent her heart racing with both anticipation and anxiety. "Hey!" Jack greeted as he reached her, an inviting smile lighting his face. "I've been thinking about what we talked about. There's an application deadline coming up, and I could help you with it." His enthusiasm was contagious, igniting flickers of hope deep within her. "What about my grandmother?" Sarah countered, a frown creasing her brow. "She's depending on me. I can't leave her." Jack's brow furrowed slightly, his confidence faltering for just a moment. "I get that, Sar," he replied softly. "But think about what you truly want. Isn't that worth fighting for? She might understand if you explained it to her." The audacity of his words sent a shiver down her spine. Could she risk their relationship, the delicate balance of caring for her grandmother while chasing her dreams? He spoke with an assurance she admired, yet the gnarled roots of doubt dug deeper into her heart. "I don't know if I can face her," she admitted, her voice trembling ever so slightly, revealing layers of her internal conflict. Staring into Jack's bright eyes, she felt the burden of her decisions becoming heavier. Here was this boy, full of promise and optimism, offering a path she had never dared to tread. "Sarah," he urged, stepping closer, "you have potential more than you realize. Don't you want to see where it could take you?" His words struck her with an aching intensity. Was this not merely about her? Did she dare to reach for something greater, to risk the familiar support of her family for the tantalizing unknown of her dreams? The truth was, she felt an electrifying excitement that memory alone couldn't quell. "I want to," she whispered, the admission nearly lost in the rush of the day. "But what if I fail? What if I lose it all?" "Then we figure it out together," Jack said firmly, his determination unwavering. "But you won't know until you try." The sincerity of his conviction pierced through her defenses. It was intoxicating but daunting, and as she looked back at the diner and the life she knew so well, the fork in the road lay stark before her. Jack's offer wasn't just an invitation, it was a pivotal moment calling for her to step into her own power. Yet uncertainty lurked in the shadows, ready to devour her courage. What if I dive in, and I find I can't swim? She wondered aloud, already yearning for the relief of making a choice, yet terrified of the outcome. Jack took a deep breath, the warmth of his presence wrapping around her like a protective layer against her fears. The time has come to find out. With this challenge hanging in the air, the two of them stood on the precipice of decision, unaware that the heavy storm of doubt they were about to face would lead to vital transformational journeys. What awaited them on the other side? Would Sarah courageously leap, or would the tides of her past pull her back into the shadows? The dull hum of the diner faded into the background as Sarah stood at the threshold of choice, every nerve in her body tingling with anticipation. Jack's unwavering gaze pinned her in place, as uncertainty wrestled fervently within her. The world around her dissolved into a silence punctuated only by the rush of her heartbeat. Could she really step away from the known comforts of the diner, from the weight of her grandmother's expectations? "I never thought I'd be the one to consider leaving," she finally said, a shaky breath escaping her lips, betraying the conflict churning inside her. "You have to think of yourself, Sarah," Jack replied, his voice steady yet inviting. As he spoke, she noted the way his hands animatedly punctuated his points, his passion for her potential spilling over. "Your grandmother would want you to make the most of your life, to pursue your dreams, even if it means stepping out of her shadow." He was firm yet gentle, allowing her space while still pushing her forward, an approach she desperately needed. The rhythm of her thoughts quickened as she unpacked the implications of his words. What if trying for a better future could be a homage to the sacrifices her grandmother had made for her? A chance to honor her past while grabbing hold of her future? The thought was empowering, yet paralyzing. But it's not just about me, she said, the timbre of doubt still clinging to her words. Her eyes flickered to the diner's entrance, where an elderly man in a weathered coat shuffled inside, burdened by years of hardship. Every customer who entered reminded her that she couldn't simply abandon her responsibilities. Jack took a step closer, closing the distance. What if there's a way to balance both? You can start with the application and talk to her. It doesn't have to be all or nothing. Balance? The word echoed in her mind like a distant lighthouse guiding her through the fog. Could she find middle ground? The thought sparked a newfound resolve. The trepidation swirling within her began to settle as she considered Jack's suggestion further. The prospect of creating a dual life, one where she supported her grandmother and simultaneously embraced her aspirations, ignited a fire in her gut. Could she manage her commitments while daring to reach for more? After all, her grandmother had always argued that passion and responsibility need not be mutually exclusive. I'll do it, she declared, her voice steadier than before. The answer surprised even her, springing forth from a reservoir of courage she hadn't previously acknowledged. I'll talk to her tonight. Jack's eyes shone with approval, and the corner of his mouth quirked into a proud smile. That's the spirit, Sarah. We'll tackle the application together afterward. You're on your way. As they returned inside the diner, the mixture of anxiety and empowerment lingered in her veins. The waitress uniform felt more like armor now, a symbol of her readiness to confront whatever lay ahead. She was no longer merely a girl trapped in a cycle of obligation, she was on the cusp of transformation, a future unfolding before her. The rest of the day passed in a blur, the rhythm of her tasks grounded her while her thoughts raced toward tonight's impending conversation. What if her grandmother disapproved? Would she resent Sarah for wanting more than the life they shared? Each question repeated in her mind like a drumbeat, but she now welcomed the discomfort as a necessary component of growth. Entering the small apartment she shared with her grandmother felt heavy with expectation. The familiar scent of her grandmother's cooking greeted her, nostalgic yet threatening to pull her under again. As they sat down to dinner, Sarah prepared herself mentally. She had to choose her words carefully, maneuvering through love and fear like dancers on a tightrope. Grandma, she began, feeling the tightness in her throat. Can we talk about something important? Her grandmother paused, the fork suspended in midair, eyes narrowing slightly in curiosity. Of course, dear. What's on your mind? In that fleeting moment, with all the weight of the future at her fingertips and the ghost of her previous doubts still haunting her, she felt the pulse of her resolve. This was her moment, a leap into the lifeblood of her own aspirations. Before she could second-guess herself, she drew a deep breath. I want to apply to university. The silence stretched thin as her grandmother's expression shifted. What do you mean, university? The conversation had just begun, the path ahead obscured yet tantalizingly close. What awaited on the other side of this pivotal decision? The air in the dining room shifted, tension crackling like static. Sarah's heart raced in rhythm with her thoughts. Her grandmother's face morphed from curiosity to a tense veil of confusion, perhaps even disappointment. What on earth has come over you, Sarah? The words emerged cautiously, but they held an authority that both unnerved and compelled her to stand firm. I want to continue my education, Grandma. It's something I've thought about for a long time, she said, though her voice wavered under the weight of her grandmother's incredulous gaze. Each deliberate word felt like a small rebellion against years of silent agreement. Her grandmother set down her fork with a clatter, the fork's metal ringing like a bell that summoned an uncomfortable truth. You mean to leave the diner? Leave me? No, not leave you, Sarah rushed to clarify, her mind scrambling to navigate the turbulent waters of emotion surging between them. I want to balance working here with studying. I believe I can do it. Balance? Her grandmother scoffed, the words coated in skepticism. You really think you can juggle your responsibilities here and academics? Life doesn't afford such luxuries, dear. All your life you have seen the sacrifices I've made. This diner is what has held us together. Sarah's heart sank, but a flicker of defiance ignited within her. And I appreciate every single sacrifice you've made. But does that mean I have to forsake my dreams? I want to honor those sacrifices by doing something with my life. Her grandmother's hands trembled slightly, a sign of her emotional turmoil. What dreams? Those are fantasies that people in stories chase, not us. We live here, trudging day by day. The clash of ideals surged in the air, an unexpected battle of wills. Grandma, Sarah pleaded, searching her grandmother's eyes for understanding, what if I could change our lives for the better? I want to learn, to grow. I want a future where I can help you, not just now, but in ways we've never even imagined. As her words hung in the air, a silence enveloped them both. Sarah could sense her grandmother grappling with the unfamiliarity of possibility. She saw the flicker of vulnerability in her eyes, a moment where doubt mingled with something that resembled hope. I can't lose you, Sarah. I can't, her grandmother whispered, more to herself than to Sarah. The fear tasted bitter, a flavor that clashed against the sweetness of Sarah's aspirations. I won't be lost, Sarah reassured, a newfound determination rippling through her. I'll stay here, help with the diner during the day, and study at night. I just need you to believe in me. The tension shifted, and Sarah steeled herself for her grandmother's response, though dread pooled in her stomach. Would she see this as abandonment or as a brave first step toward a life they could co-create? With a pained expression, her grandmother took a shuddering breath, weighing the possibilities. I always wanted the best for you, but college. Her voice trailed off. The weight of the world seemed to settle back onto her shoulders. Think of it as a new beginning. Sarah's heart raced as she unlocked the reservoir of passion within, just as Jack had encouraged. Maybe we could even go together. I could help with bills if I got a part-time job near school. This could be a way out for both of us. The flicker of courage in Sarah's voice sparked a flicker of contemplation in her grandmother's eyes. At that very moment, Sarah wondered if her plea for independence was igniting not just a desire within her, but within her grandmother too. What if her grandmother hesitated, caught between fear and possibility? Yes? Sarah pressed, leaning in. Every moment stretched like a taut string, ready to break or to strum a new harmony. I need time to think, her grandmother said finally, her voice trembling yet softer now, hinting that she was considering Sarah's vision. Riding on the edge of uncertainty, Sarah felt a surge of hope but knew they were far from a resolution. As they finished dinner in subdued silence, she realized how monumental this exchange had been. It was the beginning of a redefining conversation, not just between them, but within Sarah herself. As she retreated to her small room later that evening, swirling apprehension and excitement battled inside. What if her grandmother didn't fully support her? What if this dream wasn't enough? Each what if echoed loudly in her mind, sending ripples through the growing resolve she had built. Just as tears threatened to spill over, she resolved to take one tangible step toward her future. The application awaited in her bag, its silent promise both daunting and exhilarating. But just as she began to set her thoughts to drafting her application, her phone buzzed with a notification, drawing her attention sharply. On the screen was a text from Jack that read, I have something important to share with you tomorrow. It could change everything. Feeling her heart shift as a wave of anxiety tightened around her chest, one question throbbed with dread. What kind of change could Jack be referring to? A restless night blurred into dawn, and Sarah awoke tangled in a web of anxiety and excitement. The conversation with her grandmother replayed repeatedly in her mind, each line echoing with intensity. She took a deep breath, trying to quell the fluttering uncertainty in her stomach, reminding herself of the importance of the moment. Today would be pivotal not only for her but also for the trajectory of her family's future. After preparing for the day at the diner, the familiar smell of brewing coffee and greasy fries offered a sense of normalcy. Yet, even the comforting routine felt different. Every clatter of dishes and buzz of conversation was underscored by her thoughts of college, and she found herself serving with a vague sense of detachment. Her mind wrestled with the potential of acceptance letters and courses that could expand her horizons. Jack's text loomed heavily on her consciousness. She had always valued his opinion, especially about navigating her dreams and aspirations. She wondered what news he had to share that could alter her path so dramatically. Every time she glanced at her phone, her heart surged with a blend of fear and anticipation. "Hey, Sarah. You okay?" Jack's familiar voice snapped her back to the present as he arrived for his usual shift. There was an energy about him today she couldn't quite place, an air of possibility that drew her in. "Yeah, just thinking. You know how it goes." She half smiled, hiding the turmoil brewing beneath her surface. Ignoring her attempt to downplay her emotions, Jack studied her, his brows knitting together. "You're about to do something big, aren't you?" The question lingered, pressing in. Did he see the weight of her ambition pulsing just beneath the surface? "I'm trying to. My grandmother is considering my plans for college." "That's awesome." The enthusiasm in his voice felt genuine, filling her with a rush of warmth. "You deserve it. I can see you heading places beyond this diner." Her chest tightened with the soaring hope of his affirmation, yet she couldn't shake the gnawing fear of failure. "But do you think she'll really support me?" What if Jack cut in, his gaze steady? "You owe it to yourself to chase your dreams, Sarah. This is your life. You can't live for anyone else, even if it feels tough. If she loves you, she'll find a way to support you." His words struck her with a clarity like no other. She didn't want her grandmother's fears to rob her of her future. She had to show her that pursuing dreams was not an act of rebellion but rather a search for a shared brighter future. Determined to seize the moment, she said, "You mentioned you had something important to tell me?" Jack hesitated before revealing, "I've been working nights at a tech startup, and things are taking off. I think they'll need interns soon. I know this could be a good opportunity, maybe even for you." Her heart raced at the implications of his offer. "Interning? At a tech company? That could give me experience and credibility." "Exactly. I can help get your foot in the door," he said, his excitement apparent as he leaned closer, their faces almost touching. "And listen, if you get into school, we can work out a schedule where you can juggle both. Just think about it." As the pieces began swirling in her mind, Sarah felt a renewed sense of agency. Jack's words and opportunities echoed against the backdrop of her own resolve and her grandmother's hesitant support. Maybe she could weave her world together, balancing responsibilities without sacrificing her aspirations. But a sudden thought sent a shiver through her. What if she took the leap only to fall? What if everything crumbled, and she faced loss instead of growth? These questions loomed as her resolve momentarily wavered. Could she truly manage the balance? "Let us discuss it after your shift," Jack prompted, sensing her hesitation. "I'll share all the details. We can brainstorm how you can make this work." Fueled by his enthusiasm, her heart quickened as they moved about the diner serving patrons, refilling coffee cups, each task feeling infused with potential. She realized this was only the beginning. She was shaping her own destiny, threading her plans into reality. By the time her shift ended, she felt lighter, her previous anxieties shifting into a blend of hope and excitement. But as she gathered her things, an unexpected thought halted her in her tracks. Was she ready to brave the storm of change, possibly facing rejection from her grandmother, but daring enough to pursue the broader life that awaited her? As she stepped outside into the fresh air, the sun setting behind her, she suddenly felt the weight of two paths lying before her, one that aligned with her grandmother's fears, the other tantalizingly unfamiliar, filled with ambition and the unknown. She realized this was a decision fraught with its own uncertainty. With her heart pounding, Sarah glanced at her phone, feeling the gravity of the moment build within her. Tomorrow's conversation with Jack could lead to groundbreaking opportunities, but what chaos would accompany it? Just before she dashed into the night, another message buzzed on her phone, and as she opened it, emotions surged anew. "We need to talk about everything. Now." That simple text dredged up her nerves. Who could it be? As shadows danced around her, Sarah felt the urgency crackle in the air. The path to her future was about to take yet another unexpected turn. The anticipation from the text message pulsed through Sarah like a live wire. As she stood frozen for a moment, the weight of indecision hung heavily in the air. Who is it? She whispered to herself, the thoughts spiraling her mind into overdrive. She quickly scanned her surroundings, half expecting a confrontation, half hoping for a life-altering revelation. After what felt like an eternity, she forced herself to tap the screen and see who had sent the ominous message. Her heart sank when she realized it was from her childhood friend, Emily. They had drifted apart over the years, but something deep within stirred at the reminder of shared laughter and secrets. The urgency in Emily's words suggested something more than a casual catch-up. Meet me at the park. I have something important to tell you. Please hurry. Sarah's thoughts swirled as she weighed the implications of this meeting. She was poised on the edge of a new chapter with college and career opportunities at her fingertips, yet an old friendship beckoned her into the shadows of nostalgia. What could Emily possibly want to discuss now, after all this time? The park loomed in front of her, a sanctuary of memories that felt both comforting and daunting. Flickering streetlights cast gentle rays across the path, illuminating fragments of laughter shared over the years. But today, the air felt thick with tension and unknowns. As she approached the familiar bench where they used to spend afternoons dreaming about the future, Sarah spotted Emily, a figure wrapped in the dim glow of the streetlight. As their eyes met, Sarah felt a deluge of emotions: joy, confusion, and a hint of disbelief. Emily's familiar smile was tinged with something that caught Sarah off guard: anxiety. "Hey," Sarah said, swallowing the lump in her throat. "What is going on?" "Sarah," Emily began, her voice trembling slightly. "I've been struggling to figure out how to say this." She took a deep breath. "My family has been in some really tough situations lately, and I hate to ask you for help, but I really need a friend to talk to." The gravity of Emily's words struck Sarah like a punch. She had been so focused on her own path, on her whirlwind of impending change, that she hadn't thought about how those she once held dear might be navigating their own storms. The guilt of her present concerns feeling shallow in the face of Emily's troubles twisted inside her. "Of course. I'm here for you. What's been happening?" Sarah asked, her voice steadying as she leaned in, wrapping her arms around the trembling specter of her friend. Emily began to share her struggles, her family's financial problems, and the impact on her dreams. With each revelation, Sarah's heart began to ache, not just for her friend but for herself as well. Was this what weighted Emily down, dreams being crushed under the pressure of reality? And was that fear mirrored in her own life? A sense of determination ignited within Sarah. She thought back to Jack's words about pursuing dreams, about owning her future, and how they resonated deeper now than ever before. She had the opportunity to uplift Emily at a time when vulnerability threatened to suffocate her aspirations. Maybe this was part of her journey, understanding that success wasn't just measured by academic achievements or career milestones but by the strength found in supporting one another. "Wow, Emily, I had no idea," Sarah replied, feeling the collective responsibility settling on her shoulders. "We can figure this out together. You're not alone in this." In return, Emily's eyes glistened with gratitude. "Really? I didn't want to burden you with everything you're dealing with. I thought you might be busy with school and the diner, busy trying to figure it all out," Sarah countered, making eye contact to emphasize her point. "But going after your dreams doesn't mean forgetting about friends. Please don't hesitate to lean on me, okay?" With the tension unmistakably shifting between them, they shared plans that started to unfurl for both of their futures, a synergy of ambition and solidarity. As they cemented their plans, Sarah felt the current of empowerment coursing through her. The connections between their shared struggles and triumphs morphed into a thread that could weave a sturdy fabric of resilience. But deep inside, a question nagged at her: what would happen if their combined efforts fell short? Just as the unsettling thoughts fluttered back to her, she remembered Jack's invitation to explore the tech internship. In the whirlwind of friendship and support, she sensed that seizing the moment for herself was crucial. A new idea began forming as she crafted a plan that could intertwine her ambitions with Emily's support. "Let me call Jack and share this," Sarah decided, a flicker of hope igniting in her gut. His startup could use some positive energy. But as she pulled out her phone, another text interrupted. I need you to meet me regarding your application. It's urgent. Suddenly, the world felt even more chaotic, as if anxiety and potential converged at this critical junction. What had she stepped into? Shifting her focus, Sarah prepared to navigate not just the labyrinth of her own aspirations but the unforeseeable complexities that came with it, feeling the weight of destiny tugging at her every decision. The storm of change was brewing, and for better or worse, she was standing right in the middle of it, ready to confront whatever awaited her. Could she truly manage her evolving life? As Sarah read the new text, the urgency of Jack's message twisted in her gut, amplifying the tension from her conversation with Emily. In that moment, it felt as if the universe had contrived to cast her in a dizzying whirlwind of expectations, responsibilities, and untapped potential. She stood there, caught between two pivotal turning points, both unfolding simultaneously in her life. Her finger hovered over Jack's name, heart racing. What was so crucial about her application? The prospect of this internship loomed like a beacon, its promise of growth shining brightly through the murky fog of doubt. Yet, she felt an unusual sense of reluctance. She had committed herself, willingly, to Emily's plighted determination to help her friend bridge the chasm of their shared struggles felt immensely weighty, like a mantle draped across her shoulders. Are you okay? Emily's voice pulled her back to the present, concern etched on her brows. Yeah, just a bit overwhelmed, Sarah admitted, raising her phone and documenting the weight of two calls simultaneously pressing down on her psyche. Their futures seemed intertwined in ways she hadn't anticipated, and prioritizing one over the other felt treacherous. Listen, she said, voice steadier as empowerment seeped into her words, I need to handle this. I really do want to support you, Em, but I can't ignore this opportunity. It's important for my future. Of course. I get it. Just try not to forget about us, you know? Emily's gaze flicked from Sarah to the park's glowing streetlights and back. It was a reminder that while life thrust forward in different directions, the bond of their friendship still held significance. A wave of gratitude washed over Sarah. She had the right to carve her own path, while also allowing space for Emily's needs. With her heart in two places, she stepped away, deep breath one that filled her lungs with fresh resolve. After a moment of silence and careful deliberation, Sarah dialed Jack's number, her hands trembling slightly. The cascading thoughts of uncertain futures collided with the anchor of her friendship. He answered on the third ring, his voice smooth but insistent. Sarah. I'm glad you picked up. I've been meaning to talk to you about your application. Can you meet now? It's urgent. Where? She asked, curiosity spurring her forward. I'm at the cafe near the college, need to go over some details. Can you come? On my way, she affirmed and turned to Emily with resolve. I need to take this. I'll be right back. I'll be here, Emily replied, though her smile was tinged with uncertainty. As Sarah navigated the streets, her mind wrestled with her emotions. What could Jack possibly want? The thought settled like a rock in her stomach, but tinged with an eagerness she couldn't shake. Arriving at the cafe, she stepped inside, the rich aroma of coffee and pastries wrapping around her like a warm embrace. Her eyes swept across the cozy space before landing on Jack, who gestured for her to join him at a secluded table in the corner. I'm glad you came, he started, intensity sparking in his eyes. I need your help on a project. One that could really benefit from your creativity and skills. A surge of curiosity pushed her forward, her worries momentarily hushed. What kind of project? Jack leaned in, a conspiratorial glimmer in his gaze. It's the new app we're developing at the startup. We're reworking the entire user interface, and I think your insights from your studies could be invaluable. His words invigorated Sarah, emboldening the ambition buried beneath her layers of responsibility. I'd love to help, but what does that require of me? I need someone who can invest their time during the summer. It'll take commitment, but the experience and credit it could earn you. As he spoke, Sarah felt a wave of excitement crash over her. Could this be the turning point she was searching for, a chance not only to fulfill her dreams but also to redefine her potential through collaboration? But then a whisper of doubt crept in again. What if I can't balance this with supporting Emily? The thought silently gnawed at her, a balancing act she wasn't sure she could manage. Jack leaned closer, seeming to sense her internal conflict. It'll be tough, but think about it, it's an opportunity of a lifetime. You don't want to miss out on that, do you? The tantalizing thought of being part of something meaningful held fast to her mind. In this moment, everything she wanted was materializing before her. But the lingering twinge of loyalty to Emily kept her anchored to the ground. Take your time to decide. Just know that these opportunities don't come often, he finished, watching her keenly as she wrestled with her next move. She could sense the clock ticking, the air thick with decisions that would ripple out for both her and Emily. With her heart racing, she realized she stood at a crossroads. Could she possibly craft a future while supporting her friend? I need to talk to Emily, she said suddenly, the clarity of her decision reshaping everything. But what if this choice threatened the very thing she was trying to salvage? As Jack nodded, a momentary grimness passing over his expression, Sarah felt the weight of the world, but now it was accompanied by a spark of purpose. She had a decision to make, one that could redefine not only her career path but also the legacy of her friendship. With Jack's project waiting, and the complexities of Emily's struggles looming, Sarah felt a storm of uncertainty gathering inside. How would she navigate this intricate web she had spun? As they walked out, she felt the tension rise once more. Choices lay ahead, etched in her mind like flashes of lightning against an otherwise cloudy sky. The clock was ticking, and her reply to Jack loomed just as large as her commitment to Emily. In a world moving ever faster, how would she forge her own path while still holding on to the past? As Sarah stepped out of the cafe, the humid evening air washed over her like a tide of uncertainty. Every footfall felt heavy as she wandered the bustling streets, thoughts wrestling for dominance in her mind. Jack's enthusiasm contrasted sharply with her mounting apprehension, creating a cacophony of conflicting emotions that echoed louder with each step. She knew her conversation with Emily had solidified her resolve to support her friend, but now that commitment felt fragile under the weight of Jack's proposition. Could she shift her focus to an opportunity that had the potential to catapult her into a whirlwind of creative fulfillment, while still being there for Emily? The thought felt almost selfish, a feeling that gnawed at her conscience. As she approached the familiar park where she and Emily often spent evenings, Sarah's heart raced. What would she even say? Was there a way to articulate her excitement without overshadowing Emily's struggles? She hadn't yet felt the full weight of her decision, but the closer she got, the more real it became. Could she claim a path that diverged from Emily's without casting a shadow on their friendship? Hey, you okay? Emily's voice, laced with concern, pulled Sarah from her thoughts like a rope tugging her back from a precipice. Yeah, I just had a chat with Jack, Sarah began, searching for the right words. The honesty in her voice brought a brief flicker of hope. She wanted Emily to know she was still present. And? Emily sat up straighter, curiosity mingling with concern etched in her expression. He wants me to work on this app summer internship, a great opportunity. But what if it takes me away from what you need right now? The words tumbled out, another layer of worry unspooling from within her. Emily considered Sarah's words, her brow furrowing with both understanding and resolve. You have to do what's right for you, Sarah. I can't be the reason you let an opportunity slip away. I know, but Sarah hesitated, diving into the emotions that flattened her hope. I don't want to be selfish. What if you need me and I'm not there? The vulnerability in her voice surprised even her. She was trying to be the steady anchor, yet it felt like she was barely holding on to her own foundation. Having you chase your dreams isn't selfish, Emily replied carefully, her tone reassuring. I'll figure things out. You should take this chance. I want you to grow, you deserve to fly. A surge of warmth radiated from Emily's words, lifting the shadows from Sarah's confusion. The truth dripped slowly into her consciousness. Emily wasn't asking for her to sacrifice her own growth. They had always supported each other, holding space for their unique journeys, even when the paths diverged. What if I said yes? Sarah asked, testing the waters of possibilities. What does that mean for us? It means you change your life for the better, while making room for me to handle my own struggles, Emily answered, her voice steady, brimming with resilience. For the first time, Sarah felt hope interweaving with determination. She could protect her friendship while also embracing her ambitions. Okay, Sarah said with newfound resolve. I'll do it. I'll work with Jack. But I want to be transparent about it, it's important. Emily nodded, optimism flashing across her face. We'll figure it out together. Besides, I won't always need you right next to me. You will have the time to grow. Having reached a moment of clarity, Sarah felt the weight of uncertainty lift, replaced with a thrill of electrifying fear and excitement. This was a choice where she wouldn't just be pursuing her own potential but also leaving space for friendships to evolve. This was more than a step forward, it was a leap into the unknown. Let us celebrate tonight. Just us, some ice cream, and the stars, Emily suggested, her eyes bright with a spark of joy. As Sarah walked by Emily's side, the pungent scent of the local ice cream shop began to fill the air, and laughter of children echoed in the park. Where moments before her mind was an intricate web of self-doubt, it transformed into a tapestry of hope and ambition. But as they made their way to the shop, a new thought bloomed. How would Jack receive her decision? Would he still want her on his team if she wasn't wholly available? The stakes were higher than she had anticipated, and with every step forward came the burden of unforeseen consequences. The anticipation of tomorrow's conversation wrapped around her heart like a tight coil, an exhilarating rush edging toward anxiety. What could his response hold? Would this path truly lead her toward the personal transformation she craved? The reality of commitment to change loomed ahead, as the foundations of her future shifted beneath her feet. The thrill of possibility mingled with the cool evening air, a tantalizing mixture of hope and dread. She was ready, but was the world prepared for her emergence? With her heart steady yet questioning, she nodded to Emily, trading laughter for trepidation. Tomorrow would unfold in unexpected ways, and the adventure of balance was about to begin, twisting through uncharted territories of ambition and friendship. The days that followed felt like tumbling leaves swept along by an unpredictable wind. Each morning, Sarah faced a myriad of choices, her mind oscillating between the excitement of the internship and the underlying anxiety of how it would change her life drastically. Jack's call had sparked a flame of ambition, and she didn't want to extinguish it, yet lingering doubts shadowed her enthusiasm. She found herself jotting down ideas for the app like a poet scribbling verses in a frenzied dream. Between her classes and the time spent with Emily, snippets of inspiration flooded her mind. The symbols of creativity flitted around her, urging her to embrace this empowering path. However, with each stroke of her pen, another host of worries nestled at the back of her mind. Would Jack truly appreciate her contributions? Would he see her as a competent part of a team or merely as a placeholder who had other commitments? Battling rising insecurity became laborious, as she kept replaying their upcoming meeting in her head, imagining every possible outcome, and every single one ignited that familiar knot of apprehension in her stomach. As the planned day approached, Sarah spent the night before pacing in her cramped room, burdened by a combination of impatience and trepidation. In her mind, she could practically hear the ticking of the clock, counting down to what felt like the ultimate test of her resolve. The stakes had been raised, and now she stood on the precipice of possibility, torn between her aspirations and her loyalties. The morning sun broke through her window, illuminating her indecision. It was time to decide, the moment was at hand. Smoothing her hair back and adjusting the collar of her blouse, Sarah took a deep breath, her palms clammy. She wondered if her appearance could convey the confidence she struggled to feel. Every step toward the cafe where she had agreed to meet Jack felt leaden, her heart thumping not with excitement but an inescapable sense of foreboding. Walking through the cafe door, the familiar aroma of coffee mixed with the sound of quiet conversations hastened her pulse as she searched for Jack. Spying him seated at a corner table with a laptop open and notes scattered around, a comforting familiarity washed over her. He looked up, his expression instantly shifting from focus to bright enthusiasm as he waved, motioning for her to join. "Hey, Sarah. You made it." His voice was imbued with unfiltered excitement, as if they had shared these moments countless times even before today. Yeah, I wouldn't miss it. She tucked her confusion inside her heart, utilizing the energy Jack exuded to fuel her own resolve. Let's jump right in. I'm so glad we're working on this together, it has such potential. Jack's genuine excitement began to chip away at her anxiety. They went over the project, and Sarah allowed her hidden ideas and unique perspectives to flow freely, transforming her initial fears into a symphony of ambition. But as he introduced different dynamics of the project and hinted at their role in the company, Sarah's confidence wavered again. With every idea Jack put on the table, an internal voice questioned her capability to meet such expectations. Her thoughts churned, wrestling between seizing the opportunity and shrinking back into familiar security, one where she stayed anchored by Emily's side. Hey, you with me? Jack's voice slid into her thoughts, pulling her back to the moment. He looked at her expectantly. Yeah, just thinking about how we can integrate a social component into the app, she replied as the words spilling from her mouth came from some unnameable place of creativity within. Jack's eyes lit up. Exactly. That would broaden our reach. If we add a feature for users to connect, then we're not just building an app, we're creating a community. His excitement ignited something in her, lifting the remnants of her doubt. But as the conversation pushed forward, a moment of introspection drifted in. Could she truly balance all her commitments? Was she prepared to explore this new facet of herself that bubbled beneath? Perhaps her growth didn't have to come at the expense of her friendship, but rather could enhance it. With a sudden burst of clarity, she realized the truth: this was her chance to grow, but it wouldn't diminish her role as Emily's friend, it could amplify it. Empowered by this revelation, she dove deeper into the conversation, each word replaced self-doubt with solid resolve. As they wrapped up the discussion and Jack wanted to meet again, she felt a wave of exhilaration crash over her. The application was just the beginning, and the potential for growth loomed even larger. Yet, once again as Sarah made her way home, an unsettling thought emerged. Racing through her mind, could pursuing this venture while supporting Emily reveal cracks in their friendship she never anticipated? As darkness descended, uncertainty slithered back into her mind like an unwelcome visitor. What hidden challenges lay ahead in managing her budding career and maintaining the delicate balance of friendship? Tomorrow promised clarity, but right now, a storm of tension brewed within as both excitement and doubt battled fiercely for dominance. The night crept on, thick with uncertainty, but dawn brought with it a fierce resolve that ignited within Sarah. She couldn't outrun her fears, nor could she ignore the transformative journey she had embarked upon. Today, she would confront both Jack and Emily, her intertwined paths pulsating with opportunity and obligation, demanding flexibility and frankness. The morning sun streamed into the diner, bathing everything in a warm golden hue that felt almost prophetic. As she moved through her morning routine, flipping pancakes and refilling coffee cups, a quiet confidence began to settle deep within her. Each request, each open smile she met from the locals reminded her of the journey she had begun, not just toward professional success but personal affirmation as well. After her shift, Sarah headed to the park, where Emily was waiting, her face an open canvas of concern and curiosity. Hey, you, Emily greeted, attempting a lightness that didn't quite mask the underlying seriousness of their conversation. Hey. I wanted to talk about something big, Sarah began, her heart thumping with both excitement and apprehension. I met with Jack, and I think I'm going to take the internship with the tech startup. Silence hung between them like a tightrope, Emily's expression a mix of support and uncertainty. That's amazing. But, are you sure you want to? I mean, what about our commitments to each other? I'm sure, Sarah responded, her voice steadier than the butterflies in her stomach suggested. Here's the thing, it doesn't mean turning my back on you. I'll be balancing both. I have to grow, and I think this opportunity could help me provide even more for both of us. Emily studied her, a flicker of admiration breaking through the cloud of doubt. Sarah, you deserve to chase your dreams. But the question is, can you manage it all? Sarah took a stealing breath, reevaluating her thoughts. It's going to be tough, but I've realized my success wouldn't just be mine alone. I'd be building a future that helps us both. I want you to thrive too, and we can support each other through this. With that declaration, a light seemed to spark in Emily's eyes, illuminating the hesitance she had kept so close. Okay. If you feel this strongly, I'm backing you up. The emotional support washed over Sarah like a balm, soothing her nerves. It felt liberating to share that hope with Emily. Now, rather than a burden, each of them could lift the other toward their individual dreams. The following hours passed in a whirl of creativity, inspiration palpitating through Sarah's thoughts. She logged back into her laptop, determination guiding her fingers. Each click felt like a promise, nailing down the details of the app's framework, envisioning how to create a vibrant digital community. She could almost feel the fire of her aspirations inflating the air around her, ensuring that alongside Jack's enthusiasm, her input would provide a unique perspective matched with relevance. She arrived at the cafe for their scheduled meeting, early and ready. Jack was already there, eyes scanning her as she approached, concern creasing his brow. Uh-oh. You look way too serious. Have I suddenly become intimidating? He joked. No, just focused, Sarah said, sitting firmly before him. I wanted to clarify something important before we dive deeper into the app details. I'm balancing this with personal responsibilities primarily, my friendship with Emily. Jack leaned back, folding his arms across his chest. Nothing wrong with that, I'd never ask you to gamble with your circle. But how do you see this playing out? I'll be present for Emily, but I need real time to devote to this internship too. I believe I can do both. Each word felt like a building block, evidence of her commitment to growth, her willingness to embrace every challenge life hurled at her. Jack nodded, a slow smile creeping onto his face. That's the spirit. We can work out schedules and ensure you're managing your time effectively. This project is centered around collaboration, so don't think you need to do it solo. With that affirmation, the dynamic between them shifted. Sarah felt the weight of self-doubt evaporate, leaving only enthusiasm and a fierce sense of resolve. She would not fail, she would conquer her responsibilities, expanding into realms she once deemed unattainable. Weeks rolled into months, and Sarah thrived amid a whirlpool of tasks. The internship proved demanding, but with each line of code and every creative pitch turned in, the reality of her growth became palpable. The small victories brought with them undeniable validation. She belonged in this space. Jack's support had solidified her position within the tech team, and alongside, her relationship with Emily blossomed. They became each other's champions, forging an unbreakable bond that thrived on mutual understanding and aspirations. Emily ventured toward her own dreams, with Sarah always at the ready to cheer her on. Amid the hustle, reality brought its usual challenges. Anxiety still whispered doubts about times they needed to support one another amidst their busy lives. But as they navigated that delicate balance, it became clear the tenacity they built in each other only sharpened their resilience. On the day of Sarah's first presentation of the app, tempered nerves welled inside her, but she felt prepared. As she articulated her vision to the company board, along with Jack, her voice rang with certainty, proving not just to them, but to herself, who she had become. Ladies and gentlemen, she began, heart pounding, this app is designed to enhance connectivity, fostering a community among users because success isn't about achieving alone, it's building together and supporting each other through every phase of life. As she spoke, the board nodded, captivated by her result-oriented vision. The recognition she deserved solidified an undeniable truth. She had transformed, staking her claim as a valuable team member, a fierce friend, and a woman who understood the true pillars of success. When the meeting ended in applause, Sarah looked over at Jack, who wore a proud smile that mirrored the feeling blooming within her. We did it, her heart sang softly. That moment, the collision of her past and future, was a testament to her willingness to leap and embrace the unknown. Standing outside later with Emily, enveloped in celebration, Sarah felt a deep satisfaction pooling in her chest. We've both come so far, she smiled softly. I recognize the power in growth, but also the strength in support. We can keep pursuing our paths, and they won't just be separate arcs, they'll merge beautifully. Emily wrapped her arms around her, laughter echoing amidst fading twilight. Here's to us, Sarah. The future looks bright when shared. No longer shackled by fear or doubt, Sarah felt like an architect of her own life, capable of designing her fate while building a legacy of empowerment. The journey ahead glimmered with promise, the road winding yet rewarding, and for the first time, she knew she had all she needed within her. Tomorrow awaited, but for today, she achieved what felt like a lifelong dream. She had overcome each obstacle placed before her, evolved in ways she once couldn't imagine, and in that moment, she embraced the undeniable fullness of her journey, a flourishing existence carved from the risks she had taken. Now was the pivotal time to share this completion with everyone, and if you want to continue embarking on these inspiring stories, you need to subscribe right now. Hit that bell for all notifications to make sure you don't miss out on our future emotional journeys. Leave a like to feed the algorithm, and drop your thoughts in the comments. What do you think about Sarah's transformation? Don't wait even one more second to share this story with at least 5 friends who need to see this empowering conclusion. Your support is what keeps these stories alive.